Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon if you want to be notified of any future shows. Feel free to leave comments down below, and please smash that thumbs up. It helps the show out. Hello, everybody. I want to touch on what's going on with Bitcoin in the crypto market. First of all, let me get y'all caught up on what happened with Coinbase. Basically, they wouldn't tell me what happened. I emailed them, and magically it was fixed. I will do another video about what my opinion is of that. I think it's little shenanigans going on. But anyway, I have been first of all, I was an intelligence analyst in the military, and I went through 9 months of school on how to, check out things and analyze it and come to conclusions and that kind of thing. So, not saying I'm going to be the best in the world at this, but there's something that I've been noticing watching these YouTube videos that's been driving me absolutely insane. And that's when I go to a video when somebody's talking about what they think Bitcoin's going to do. And they start drawing these little lines, these little triangles all over the place, and talking about how, oh, this means it's going to go this way and blah, blah, blah. Now, I was watching, and there's a couple in particular I won't mention, but, and I'm sitting there thinking, there's no way. I mean, in the normal stock market, you might be able to do that kind of analysis because it's been around for so long, and mainly because everybody else who's buying, selling, trading in the stock market, in the Wall Street, the normal, been around forever stock market, are using the same kinds of principles. They're looking for the same things, so you can look at what's going on with prices, and you can kind of use that as a guide to try and predict what's going to happen with a certain stock. But in cryptocurrency, I'm sorry, but you just can't do that. I mean, it'll work to an extent, because I'm sure that Wall Street, that's all based on, some kind of theories that were thought out, blah, blah, blah. So to some extent, yeah, it's probably going to work, but it's not going to work the way it does in the stock market. Because the cryptocurrency is full of a bunch of people, regular Joes, who are just jumping in there buying crypto and trying to trade, and they don't know what they're doing. They don't know about, these lines and stuff. And then some of these guys are actually, they've been doing it, for 2 years, whatever, and now they're starting courses that you can pay for them to show you how to trade. People, these guys have been around for like a minute, and they're trying to make money teaching you how to draw lines, from the peaks and valleys on the price chart. That isn't going to work. I mean, if you look at the price chart in general, like there's one in particular, I don't know what the heck they call it, but it's like got basically a band that goes from the very beginning of Bitcoin all the way up to today, and they say, oh yeah, look, it stayed within this band, so we can make determinations based on that. Well, in my opinion, the reason it stayed within that band is just because Bitcoin is popular and it's been doing well. As we can see today, today broke the mold. I mean, I've been sitting here all day. I noticed this last night, because in my opinion, the way that everybody is analyzing stock, or not stock, the way that everyone's analyzing Bitcoin trends and everything is completely wrong. Complete BS, and it might help you kind of try to make it a somewhat informed decision, sure. But I've watched for when did I put my first? It's been a couple of months now, I think. And I see the same guys making these predictions, and then when they don't happen, they go through and they, oh yeah, well, we're And all now, if you notice that they draw their lines to different places, so they're not even consistent about what they're saying. The only thing they've been consistently across the board saying is that it shouldn't go below this trend. Well, that's a no-brainer. You know, unless something severe happens, like what's going on right now, it's probably not going to go below that trend, because first of all, that trend's a pretty serious margin of error there. It's a pretty good size margin. And unless Bitcoin suffers a major sell-off, you know, you're not going to see it get outside of that trend, right? The other thing is, all of these same people talk about, I got to clean my glasses off, this drives me crazy. All these same people are talking about how like one of the reasons that Bitcoin didn't do what they might have predicted, say a week or a couple of weeks ago or whatever, is because, oh, the whales are manipulating the market. Well, people, if the whales are manipulating, which I do believe 100%, that was one of the things back when I did my last Coinbase video. One of the things I started to notice, and that's why I started keeping a very close eye on what was going on with the pricing, the volume, the market cap, and all of that, and also how it compares to other coin. And I came to the same conclusion and started watching videos and noticing that other people were saying the same things, that you got whales that are dumping, pump and dump and all that stuff, right? So if that's going on, if you have a bunch of guys that are, you know, hip deep in Bitcoin, obviously metaphorically, and they're doing these pump and dumps and everybody knows it, how are your little lines that you're drawing going to mean anything? Because you could draw a little line and then all of a sudden a whale or a miner drops a bunch of coin on the market. It's completely off. So no, it doesn't work. The thing that does work, the way that I am, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon if you want to be notified of any future shows. Feel free to leave comments down below, and please smash that thumbs up. It helps the show out. Sorry, I forgot that was going to happen. The way that I am and what I'm looking at, see, this whole thing, everything that goes on in the market, whether it's Wall Street or cryptocurrency, it's about psychology. Everybody wants to make money. I mean, there are certain things that are givens. Everyone wants to make money. They want to buy at the right time. They want to sell at the right time. But all of that is based on psychology. There is no way to look at, I mean, I saw a guy, I think it was last night or this morning, I watched the video he made yesterday. Okay. And he was talking about, or he was drawing his lines on the chart here. And he's showing how, okay, we're inside this wedge and we're going to break out, right? Well, I looked at the dates he was using. He's going back a year and a half. He's drawing a wedge that's a year and a half long. I'm sorry, but you cannot try to use data from 18 months ago to determine what Bitcoin is going to do today, especially when you know that there are miners and whales out there that are manipulating the market. If you have miners and whales manipulating the market, you can't use, for the most part, data from, let's say, 2 weeks ago to figure out what's going to happen today, unless you know when they're going to do what they do. You can't. It's impossible. You would have to have some kind of margin of error for the whales and that kind of thing. But let me, that's my little pet peeve I threw out there. I knew back when I first started noticing that these whales were doing stuff, I knew that Bitcoin was going to drop. Of course it's going to drop. Why? My opinion. Because the halving is coming up. And this halving is going to drop everything down to, what is it, 6 coin payoff for miners. So this is kind of the last hurrah, basically, for miners. They have to make as much money as they can right now, because once the halving hits, that 6 Bitcoin isn't going to mean much. I mean, if you've watched any videos about these massive ASIC farms that these miners are putting together, they're still not going to make much. I have a feeling that what's going to happen is that a lot of these, I mean, they'll probably continue to mine for a short period of time, but this mining is going to start to die off. Unless Bitcoin goes through the roof, it's going to die off. Now, we might have miners who have gotten into cahoots, because it's going to take more than one. In order to do a pump and dump, you have to have a buyer and a seller. Okay, so maybe there's a little plan in place to try and artificially drive the cost or the price of Bitcoin through the roof, so that they can continue to be profitable in mining. Possibly, I don't know. But what I think they're doing is they're hedging their bets by getting rid of everything they have now, and they're trying to manipulate the price. They're making it go way down, and they're making it go way up. They go way down, and then they're buying and selling. They're day trading based on their own manipulation of the market, because they have the surplus of coin to do it. But that isn't going to last forever. We all know that eventually they're going to run out of coin, and then when they go and start mining again, they're not going to be able to do that as well, because they're only getting 6 coin, right? So anyway, I knew that way back then when I started seeing patterns, you know, and I just, maybe this is because I'm new to this, but there is no way in hell that thousands of cryptocurrency should all be linked. If you watch all of the cryptocurrency and you look at all of their charts, pretty much all of them drop exactly the same way at exactly the same time. That's just not possible unless you have a computer program that's actually buying and selling, which is happening. They're using algorithmic buying and selling. And I think that probably is what the deal is. I mean, the only other option is that somebody else is manipulating, and I don't think that's happening. I think there's just way too many people using algorithmic scripts to buy and sell all of their cryptocurrency. And it looks to me like some of them are using the cost or the price of Bitcoin to determine when they buy and sell their alternate coins. And that is why it's doing what it's doing. So when Bitcoin goes down, everything starts to go down, because you have all of these people that have a lot of cryptocurrency that have a script that's saying, up, Bitcoin dropped to this much, sell off XRP, sell off Cardano, sell off Link. That they're not doing, but well, kind of, but not as much. You know, sell off all of these alternate coins, because they're anticipating that if Bitcoin's dropping, so is that coin. And it's a snowball effect, because if you make a program that does that, you're just making the problem worse, because the next guy down the chain is doing the same thing. He's saying, oh, he's making a program that does the same thing. And, you know, some of you, I'm sure you get on chats and forums and so forth, and you're exchanging scripts that do things like this. Now, I don't know that that's happening. I've not run across it, but to me, that's what it looks like is going on. Somebody is using the price of Bitcoin to buy and sell their altcoin. And that's why all the altcoin is going right along with Bitcoin, because it just, under normal circumstances, it should not be possible for altcoins to drop at exactly the same time that Bitcoin does. I mean, people sleep, you know, I mean, I watch this thing at 2 o'clock in the morning, and if it drops, so does the altcoin. That's not possible, because people sleep. What should be happening is, under normal circumstances, they wake up in the morning, they're having their coffee, and they go, holy smokes, Bitcoin dropped 20%. I need to get rid of what's going on with my altcoin. My altcoin still got a little bit, you know, let me go ahead and sell that off before I lose my money. So you should see a delay between the time that Bitcoin drops or increases and the time the altcoin drops or increases, but you're not seeing that. It's almost simultaneous that it's happening. That's a computer program. Now, I could understand it if it was only like the top 10, right? Because that would mean I could sit here and very easily say, well, I'm into six of the top 10 coin. And I'm sitting here watching. I see Bitcoin dropping like a rock. And I get in here and bingo, I sell off all my coins. That I can understand. But it's not. It's across the board. It's all of them. And they're all dropping simultaneously, for the most part, simultaneously and to the same amount. The same amount is what blows my mind. You know, how can the graph be exactly the same size as the Bitcoin graph? You know, so, I mean, if you understand, if there's an actual explanation for that, a real explanation for that, put it in the comments below and tell me. Because I was a computer programmer. I mean, I was a Linux developer. I've worked with PGP for 20 years, 30 years. I've worked with crypto for 30 years. So I understand a lot about the technology going on here. What I'm not understanding is why I'm seeing 1,000 coins dropping simultaneously. Because you would have to have everybody who's invested in Bitcoin is also invested in those 1,000 coins. And they are up at 24 hours, and the minute Bitcoin drops, somehow they're able to, in less than a minute or two, sell off 1,000 coins. It's just not possible. All right. I mean, I could see during the day, you know, maybe very close changes happening very close to each other because people are awake. They might be monitored, day trading, whatever they're monitoring, but not to the extent that I'm seeing it. It's just way too, it looks like it's programs, scripts that are doing it. And you can't stop people from using scripts, but I think those people out there who are writing these scripts and disseminating them should maybe, I don't know, enlighten people that this is that's probably affecting the market just as much as anything else. You know, just as much as whales, just as much as miners. Anyway, so moving on. Yesterday, I was looking at the charts because I was watching this one guy once again talking about how, it's going to bounce off of what is it called? Resistance, and there's resistance and support. Those got to be metaphors, right? Because you realize you're talking about numbers. There is no resistance. Now, in the real stock market, the one that's been around forever, I can see them starting to use that terminology because you're talking about investors resisting and investors supporting. But I don't believe that exists in the cryptocurrency world, not yet. In 3 to 5 years, I think it will. Because I think in 3 to 5 years, cryptocurrency will be as normalized as Wall Street. And probably beyond Wall Street. But right now, you have too many lone wolves out there that are just kind of doing their own thing. And some of them are the ones making these videos. To be honest with you, I believe some of them are the ones making these videos. I mean, not all of them, obviously, but some of them are, you know, and they're trying to make money, trying to tell people how to trade cryptocurrency. And to be honest, they don't really know themselves, because I think I've seen one or two guys that actually seem to be accurate in what they're talking about. The other ones, it's like it's a bunch of double talk. They're just drawing lines on the chart and making double talk and probably repeating somebody else's video they saw. But anyway, yesterday I was watching this, and based on my philosophy of what's going on here, I've analyzed what was going on with everything using what I think is more of an accurate way, and that's basically going by the volume. You can't go by the price. I mean, you have to use the price to an extent, but going back weeks, no, you can't. And to some degree, I mean, you can't do it with the volume. But the volume over the past at least 24 hours is going to give you a really good idea of what's going on, what the sentiment, what the mentality of the people who hold whichever coin you're looking at, what their current mentality is, what their current whether they have fears or whether they have confidence, etc. And I know I've watched some of these videos. I guess there's a site out there that, you know, has a meter of the fear and all that stuff. To me, it's the volume. You can watch the volume and tell what's going on. Last night, I knew Bitcoin was going to, when I went to sleep, I was watching it because I thought it would happen a lot faster than it did, the drop. But I knew it was going to go down to 7,200. And I said, well, you know, it's just creeping along. I'm going to go to sleep. When I woke up, it not only hit 7,200, it went to 6,200. You know, and out here this morning, it's lower. And I knew that when I thought it was going to hit 7,200, I'm thinking it's probably going to hit 5,000 actually. And that's based on what's going on with the volume. All right. And now I woke up this morning, I said, oh, definitely. I said, not only is it going to hit 5,000, it's probably going to hit about 3,000. I think it's going to go down to about 3,000, 3,500 before it bounces back. That's what I think, based on the volume and what's going on in the world today. You cannot just look at numbers and draw lines, because we have the big C going on right now. You have the problems going on with the stock market. You have OPEC, the oil thing going on. And then along with that, you have to take into consideration that you have all of these businesses are suffering now because of this. So what is happening? You have a bunch of people who have purchased Bitcoin who are now concerned about having money, actual money they can go down the corner with, fiat, that they're worried about that. So they're selling off their coin, you know, because they want to make sure that they have money for their family to survive, because they're panicking. Everybody is panicking about the big C. But they're not just, at this point, it's not just the big C. It's the fact that the big C has affected the stock market, which has affected businesses. I mean, and this is just a big snowball effect. We have people are going to go out of business over this. People are not going to go out as much anymore. I mean, the NBA stopped doing games now. You got people are going to stop going out to restaurants and bars and theaters and everything. So this is going to have a huge impact. So you got people out there, let's say a guy owns a movie theater and he also had a bunch of Bitcoin. He's going to sell it off because he knows that people aren't going to go to he's not going to get as much business on his movie theater. So there's a whole lot of things that are going on right now that are going to continue to go on until the big C is under control. You know, until then, we're going to have fear. We're going to see the results of fear in cryptocurrency. And that fear is going to be not just fear of what's going on with the cryptocurrency. It's going to be fear of what's going on in their lives and in the world in general. So you can't just draw lines from one peak to another and from one valley to another and determine what is going on with Bitcoin. You have to keep in your head what is going on in the world and watch the volume. If you see very low green volume, like you're seeing right here. I mean, look at this. Look at this. We are down to 5,500. When I was preparing to start this video, we were still above 6,000. And now look, we're down to 5,500. I knew it was getting ready to go again because I saw all of this sideways move it. And I was watching the volume. I'm like, yeah, you got a whole lot of green here. But see, that green is just people who have got up and they went, holy smokes, you know, and once they got over the shock of Bitcoin taking a nosedive, said, what am I thinking? This is a good opportunity for me to buy. So that green down there, that's what it is. It's people buying the dip. And then you also have when we had this slowdown where it did a big drop and then it kind of, where did it stop? I guess down here about 6,000, and it stopped. The reason it stopped is because it got down to the point where people who had sold off, they didn't sell off all of their Bitcoin. They sold off a bunch of it and said, that's it. I don't want to lose any more money on this. Let me keep what's in here and see if it's going to go back up and see if I can make some of my money, make money back. If I get rid of all my Bitcoin, first of all, I'm probably losing money, depending on where they bought it. And there, of course, the ones below there that bought it and don't want to lose money at all. So they're selling anything up until a certain point, and then no more sales. Nobody wants to buy or sell any lower, right? And that's where this sideways movement came from. Now, what's happening is that you got people that they're holding strong, they're holding fast, they're not going to sell below a certain price. I'm not going below 6,000. I'm not selling my Bitcoin for less than 6,000. And then hour after hour goes by, and they see the price is not going back up. And then they see other videos from people who are, talking about what's going on in the world, and they're watching videos from the president, and so that fear starts to creep in again. And then they say, let me go ahead and sell some more off. So now we're starting to see that. Or it's just people who were sleeping who just woke up, and now they're going to sell off their coin, So it's starting to drop again. And I'm 90% positive it's going to drop to probably 3,500, 3,000 before this is all over with. Might even go lower than that. That's my opinion, based on what's going on in the world and what I'm seeing going on with the volume. You see, too many people are happy to sell their coin, and much fewer people buying coin. So that, according to what's going on in the world, it doesn't look good. I think that Bitcoin, all of the cryptocurrencies are going to come back. And when this hits 3,000, I plan on buying it. I don't own Bitcoin right now. I actually did, and then I sold it to buy XRP. But because it was already too high, I think it was up at 10,000 at the time. So, but if this goes down, I'm going to wait for it to hit 3,000, or wait to see the volume make a change to where it looks like it's about to shoot back up. And then I'll go ahead and buy in. I mean, this is just an opportunity to buy low again, as far as I'm concerned. The rest in peace, cryptocurrency I put in the title here, that was just mainly, to get everyone's attention, kind of clickbait, but also because metaphorically, it's kind of true. It is going to take a while, I think, for cryptocurrency, with the reputation of cryptocurrency, to recover from this. Unless this rebounds within a day or two, and it ain't going to. This is going to last as long as the thing with the big C goes on, and maybe even a little bit longer than that. And it's going to take a while, because everybody's going to be talking about, oh, look what happened to Bitcoin. Bitcoin bottomed out, blah blah blah, and they're going to completely ignore the fact that the stock market's doing the same thing. This is happening across the board. I mean, this is having an effect. And it's actually the perfect storm. I don't think this is all because of the big C. This is kind of the perfect storm. There were things that were about to happen in the stock market anyway, because of diluting the dollar, And then the oil companies decided to, they dropped the price of oil, went way up on their production or whatever it is they're doing. So that happened at the same time, which made other people in the stock market concerned. And then we have the halving coming. You have the whole thing that's going on right now within the last year of people talking about GPU mining, ASIC mining. The companies are coming out with these new, seems like every month a better ASIC miner for this and that and the other thing. Then the whole legal thing going on about cryptocurrency. There was a whole lot of things coming together at once that are causing this. This isn't as simple as drawing a line across the peaks and across the valleys. There's a whole lot of stuff going on right now that is going to affect the cryptocurrency market for weeks and months to come. And then probably, I think the halving, if depending on how the big C is going, if the big C is resolved before the halving is going to, in my opinion, is going to be just huge. It's going to have a massive impact because it's going to come right around the time that they solve the whole issue with the big C and people's health. Hopefully. If it goes on beyond that, I think that it's going to have a little effect on the market, but by and large, the market's going to stay the same until the big C thing is over with, and probably isn't going to have that, huge parabolic climb that everyone thinks, but it may. I mean, just like I said, you can only predict like 2 weeks because of everything going on at most. There's no way for anyone to predict how all of this is going to shake out, after the halving or even a couple of weeks from now. There's a lot going on right now, and there's probably too much for any one person to figure out, to predict on their own. At least that's my opinion. Let me see. Oh, shoot. I am still streaming, I hope. Yeah, okay, there we go. I hope my chart was on there all that time. I think it was. It just did something funny. Anyway, I know I'm brand. I've got 3 videos on there. You're going, who is this guy? We'll see. We'll see. I was right about it dropping. I was right about it hitting. It's going to hit 5,000, and it's going to go beyond 5,000. I think probably by morning it's going to be down in the 4s. By morning, it's going to be in the 4s at least, and I think it's going to hit 3,000 before it's all said and done, if not worse, if not lower. So if you're planning to buy the dip, hold off. Wait until you see a lot of volume in the green and the price going up. That's when you buy, because if you buy it now, it's going to continue to fall, in my opinion, and then you're going to be screwed. So that's my 2 cents worth. I'm going to do a thing on Coinbase. I hear we got in the bottom line is we have these exchanges trying to take advantage of the fact that they have the technology to be able to set up these exchanges. Now, they might have had a little money in the beginning, They had a silver spoon in their mouth. They inherited some money from mommy and daddy, whatever the case may be. They might even have bought Bitcoin way back when it was 6 cents and they wanted to put it to use. So they've gone and done what really they shouldn't have been able to do, and that's make an exchange, because they're unregulated, right? They're just now starting to be regulated. That's part of what's affecting the cryptocurrency market right now. But they're trying to take advantage of people by charging them crazy amounts for this and that. And in the case of Coinbase, holding your money for 2 weeks. How much, now think about it, how many millions of people are making deposits in Coinbase, and Coinbase is holding their money for, 8 days, 10 days? So they're holding your money for 10 days and not giving you interest, but they're earning interest. Not only are they earning interest, but they can take that money and buy Bitcoin, do some day trading on Bitcoin with money that they're getting from somebody else. It's not even their money. This is something that banks did way, way back. They would hold your checks for 14 days saying, we had to wait for it to clear. The government eventually outlawed that, said you can no longer do that because it doesn't take that long for a check to clear. But what the banks were doing was keeping your check so that they were making interest off of that money. Now, off of one guy's check for, $600, $1,000, that isn't a whole lot of money. You're not going to make a lot of interest off that. But now you think you've got 250,000 people that are doing this at the same time. Everyone's getting paid on the first of the month, and you're holding their paycheck for 2 weeks. That's a lot of interest, right? I think Coinbase doing the same thing, because when I did my video, I said unless they're in another country, because I wasn't sure, but I have since found out. I think they're in San Francisco. That means that when my bank says that this money has gone, which it did, that within minutes, that's when Coinbase actually had that money. It was within minutes, not days, not weeks. So why didn't they put that money in my account right away? Because they were holding it to make interest on the money or to use it for whatever they're using it for. Because they're not a bank, they don't have to worry about that law. You know, because this whole regulation of cryptocurrency is kind of just now being done, they didn't have to worry about that. They're taking advantage of people. So, in my opinion, and that software is buggy. They fixed it, but they fixed one thing at a time. I had 3 different coins in there, and had problems with all 3 of them going between Coinbase.com, which is basically a wallet, and Coinbase Pro. Now, I notified them and I sent them a picture about, I think it was at the time I had my Bitcoin. 10 minutes later, my Bitcoin all of a sudden was in Coinbase, but none of my others were. So I had to email them again and say, look, I have these other coins too. And then finally, I mean, it took me probably 6 hours of emailing, but once I sent the email, it wasn't more than 10, 20 minutes before they fixed it. Now, once I realized the Bitcoin was working, then did something with the Bitcoin, then went to look at my XRP and said, my XRP ain't there. Then I emailed them. You know, it took, a few hours because I was horsing around doing other things. But once I emailed them, within 10 to 20 minutes, all of a sudden it was working. But no response from them about why. No response from them about how to do it. And I sent them a picture with my mouse pointing at that number that kept changing, the number that shouldn't have been changing, and asked them what the hell was this about. No response whatsoever. So, can't inform you about what it is, but I can tell you, I've written programs. I was a developer back in the 90s for Linux, and I'm telling you, that's a programming issue. And anyway, that's that. So let me think of what I got to do here. So until next time, y'all take it easy. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon if you want to be notified of any future shows. Feel free to leave comments down below, and please smash that thumbs up. It helps the show out.